All right, everybody, this will be a quick one here. This is a warning to all politicians. I'm running for president 2024, part 104. It's Arts Party, Independent Party, Arts Party, and don't want any campaign contributions. And it's strictly a YouTube campaign. You like what the ideas and stuff, my opinions on things, you give a thumbs up. Get enough of that and enough write-ins in 2024, and I'll file the papers and run. So, but regardless of what happens, I hope there's some things out there, maybe enlighten some people on, throw out some ideas on some of the major issues. See if we can solve some problems together as Americans instead of all this division and stuff. So first thing I wanted to go over was on that movie thing I was talking about, movie plot. I said Terry Claus before. It's Terry Crews. I think would be a good actor. So anyway, the story would be, he lives in the future, and everything's so corrupt. Lots of stuff going on. I said, you can make it kind of like a mix between all these movies like 12 Monkeys, A Clockwork Orange, like a little bit of Terminator. Well, not Terminator, because 12 Monkeys had time travel in it too. So well, I guess it'd be sort of like Terminator, because he goes back, but instead of going back and fighting there, they eventually end up bringing forces from the past to the future to fight in the future, maybe. But anyhow, I said things are really corrupt, and there's like this tyrant that's about to take power. Terry is a physicist. His great grandfather was also a physicist back here in our time, or maybe another time we could do. And I thought maybe Bruce Willis could play his great grandfather. So Terry wants to come back. His character wants to come back and warn us, and then even possibly they get into a debate about maybe taking some people out, because Terry has traced the lineage of all the people who have fostered this hellish future for America, and they're getting ready to do it to the world. So I was thinking for villains too, you could maybe ask Dim Lemon or Anderson Cooper if they wanted to play the villain and the real bad guy, or maybe put both of them in there. But and if not, find lookalikes or something. But so I was thinking, yeah, Bruce Willis would be a good choice for Terry's great grandfather. However many generations you want to make it go back, and so Terry knows. His character knows, he has white ancestry, but his like great grandfather doesn't know he has African American descendants, or mixed race descendants. So the only thing Terry has about his grandfather, great grandfather, he has out of some mementos and like heirloom stuff. There's like an old letter in an envelope from his great grandfather's like granddaughter. She sends him a picture of her, which would be his like great grandson, and because the family's estranged, so she sends him a letter and a picture showing him his great grandson. So Terry has that. It's all tattered and everything, and then he also has an article from a scientific journal of a paper that his great grandfather Bruce Willis wrote for the scientific journal. So, you know, he travels back, he finds Bruce Willis, and he's trying to explain to him who he is and how he came from the future. And to prove it, you know, he shows him the things he has. And you know, he shows him the letter and the picture and stuff. But the only thing is, you know, Bruce hadn't received that yet in that time from his granddaughter, the picture and stuff. So he's real suspicious. He's like, you know, because he can see that the letter's from his granddaughter and stuff, but he never got it from her. And so he's like, where'd you get this, and where'd you get the picture, and all this stuff. And then he shows him the article from the scientific journal, the paper that he wrote. And Bruce Willis is like, how did you get that? Doesn't come out until next month's journal, you know, something like that. So he gets really suspicious and isn't buying into the whole thing. And like, so he finds Bruce, because they need to build another machine to get back to the future, and it takes like highly restrictive, you know, top secret materials like element 115 and certain, you know, parts and stuff you can only get from the military. Well, Bruce Willis works for like MIT or somebody, or Los Alamos or something like that, so he can get the classified stuff to enable them to go back to the future. So they're at wherever this is that Bruce works, and Bruce gets all upset and he goes to get security. So Terry real quick writes on the blackboard, or the grease board, whatever it is, this really advanced equation about the time travel and stuff and everything. And then Bruce is just like thinking he's a nut, and it comes back with security, and they drag him off and everything. And, you know, the letter and the article and stuff are laying there on the table. And then Bruce turns around and sees the equation on the blackboard and all that, and starts looking at it and all that. So he eventually goes and gets Terry out of jail. And then you take it from there, and they try and convince, you know, like, hey, we got to go to the future. Well, they debate about should they off or assassinate people in that timeline there to keep the future from happening, and they get in a debate about, you know, what if something worse happens, and can you alter the future, and all those types of things. So in that respect, I guess it would have sort of a Terminator, 12 Monkeys type theme to it. And but the hellish future, you know, Terry's character comes from, kind of like got a Clockwork Orange mixed in there, where you got those types of thugs going around. They're actually going around doing the bidding of these people who are in power. And how he finds out, you know, a lot of the stuff is while he's in that timeline, because he's a really renowned physicist and all this, he travels in circles, you know, of powerful people and all this, and they invite him to one of these things that's kind of like a eyes wide shut type deal. Not exactly like that, but just he starts seeing a lot of the corruption and a lot of the things these people are doing. And that's when he kind of has a moment where he sees just how awful they are, and how they're manipulating all these things, and using these thugs to do their bidding and get rid of their opponents and stuff like that. And there's, you know, in society is a mess anyway. You know, they, you know, just use the laws against anyone who believes in God, and believes in, you know, like heterosexual sex and marriage, and they kind of hunt out people who don't agree with their, you know, anything goes view of life, and you know, you can't raise your children the way you want and all that kind of stuff. And so Terry's, you know, like this, he sees what's going on, and he sees like this evil guy that's gonna eventually take power, that you know, he gets filled in on the plans and stuff when he's rubbing elbows with all these rich and powerful people. And that's when he makes up his mind to make the time machine or device and go back and see if he can do something to alter what's about to happen. So that's pretty much the plot of the story. Maybe since I mentioned Eyes Wide Shut, maybe, you know, Nicole Kidman could play, she's still around, alive, stuff. She could play Bruce Willis's wife or something in it. And you know, just oh, and another thing, before he gets him out of jail, you know, he reads the equation and stuff, but like the next day he gets or next couple days he gets the letter from his granddaughter with the picture of his great grandson in it and everything. And so, and that plus the equation and stuff that Terry's character leaves on the blackboard, that kind of moves him to go and get him out of jail and stuff. So anyway, that's kind of the plot of it. I don't know how, you know, you'd have to fill in a lot of other types of characters, but I think it'd be pretty interesting, especially if you know, because we all see The Rock and all these other people in you know, getting all these leading roles and stuff. I think it'd be cool to see somebody different, and Terry Crews a pretty good actor, and I think he'd be right for the part. You know, and you can make it a real sick future. You know, it's like I said, throw some Soylent Green in there type stuff too. You know, you see these people, they abort babies now because they want to get certain chemicals and stuff out of the fetuses for like cosmetic reasons, to look younger and all this type of stuff. So, you know, they could have protein drinks and all that kind of crap in the future made from aborted babies or something. And just a really sick, immoral society, and it's about to go over the cliff and take the whole world into like an eternal pit of darkness. So that's why Terry wants to act, his character wants to act, and if he can't stop it back in the past, maybe he can convince people there to travel back to the future. That's why I say maybe you get the Marines. They build you know, several of these time travel devices, and they take, you know, a couple squads of Marines with them into the future, and they try and take over you know, what's left of the White House and all that kind of stuff, because like all that would be totally different. It would have been, you know, this alternate society, you know, who was tired of everything normal, you know, and stuff. So, you know, maybe they destroyed or just altered the White House and everything the way it was, and all the stuff in DC, you know, this cancel culture type stuff just carried out to the extreme. So that's my ideas on that. Then I wanted to go over, you know, some of the things about like I said, you know, taxes. We're all taxed too much. Wages and stuff, you know, we could figure out, you know, instead of everybody working 8-hour days, 7-hour days, and with a wage increase and new labor laws, more flexibility in schedules, we figure all that stuff out. And then I was talking about rebuilding, like, you know, the cities and all this, and you know, AOC and her Green Deal and all this wants to tear everything down and start over. No, we just put new building codes in. If we can find things that are equitable and make buildings more efficient and use of energy, and we need to look at other energy sources and all this, because, you know, what are we going to do with all these old solar panels and stuff? If they keep pushing solar and stuff, sooner or later they got to be replaced, and you got to get rid of the old ones. Is that a threat to landfills and stuff? Is because they all got benzene in them, or they used to anyway. Is that going to be a threat to us later, like asbestos and lead hazards? Are homeowners going to have to start paying environmental fees to get rid of these solar panels? So there's a lot of things we got to look at. But then, like, rebuilding these urban areas that have been just forgotten about. I was saying, you know, we could, you know, kind of do an FDR thing, print a bunch of money to pay for it, so, you know, we're not taxing everybody. Print U.S. Treasury notes instead of Federal Reserve notes. Pay people, even immigrants, they can earn their citizenship to do a lot of the work and stuff, and rebuild these cities, then make the houses available to the people who've lived in those areas that are run down, with stipulations. Everyone's got to keep their nose clean and everything, and they can't sell the house for 10 years. They're going to get a cheaper mortgage, but the mortgage has to be paid, and work it out to the state or the federal or both, who funded all this, so they get paid back. And then, if you screw up, hey, you're out. You're gone. Somebody else moves in, takes over, gets the same kind of deal. But instead of building like these, tenements and public housing and all this type of stuff, type buildings, where no one has a vested future in it. So if you can't build a bunch of houses, you build another, but you make it like a condominium or apartment deal where ownership is allowed, and you let people have a vested interest there. So I was thinking again later when I brought up this stuff about, like you call it the African American Investment Corporation or company, where you get all these rich celebrities, athletes, rap music people, and all this. They can start this business where they invest and go and turn over houses and resell them and stuff, and make it affordable for people. And then like the rundown warehouses and other types of buildings and stuff, that's a lot of money even for people with their kind of money. So you would make it where people could buy stock and this and that. And I said, you could even use some government money to throw in there, but that would be like a loan. Maybe some would be a grant, some would be a loan. Because I was thinking, like with welfare and all the other stuff going on, like I said before, maybe we get rid of all the free stuff. So maybe it should be like a low interest loan that this African American Investment Corporation would get from the government and have to pay back, and they would have to run this whole thing like a business, and make money for their investors, and also to pay the loan back and all this. But it would be done to make renew all these areas and give people a vested interest in their future. And so I'm thinking, that's the way it's got to be loaned in this now. Because check this out. You hear them talk about wealth redistribution and all this, and economic justice and all this. Well, if you read the Constitution on why and how they can collect taxes, like, it wasn't even a federal income tax until it's supposed to be for a time of war, and that, it didn't go into effect till after the war. And like we even still have excise taxes on things, like materials back then, to have enough materials for the military. They put all these taxes on these other things so people would really make stuff last and not have to go out and spend a lot of money and buy tires and all that kind of stuff, or anything made out of metal. So, but those need to go and everything. But it's illegal, in our society, for the Congress to raise taxes to increase their wealth, to pay themselves better and give them all these benefits and stuff. That's stealing from us for their own benefit, right? That's wealth redistribution into their pockets from our pockets. There's certain things that taxes are supposed to be used for. They're not supposed to use this like their own personal piggy bank and enrich themselves. They're not supposed to enrich like government contractors that they have stock in by giving them all these contracts and using our tax money, and then that money flows to them through their stocks and stuff either. So they're not supposed to do that. Vote themselves all these ridiculous raises and benefits and stuff, and and keep increasing these bureaucracies where you keep having more and more federal workers who are also getting paid very good and having all these pensions and stuff. That's wealth redistribution from our pockets to theirs. It is also illegal for them to take our wealth and to give it to other people in the population. That's stealing. All this welfare and all this and it's stealing. Now, like when FDR did a lot of things, he built dams and roads and what have you and stuff, and public works money to build schools and stuff. That is something that everybody gets to use. and it benefits us all. But when you're just taking money from one person and giving it to another person, you're just flat out stealing. And Congress has no right to do that. It is illegal under the Constitution for them to take our wealth for other things than what they are legally allowed to do according to the Constitution. So that's why another reason I said get rid of all these freebies, and it's like the estate taxes and stuff like this. I don't know what they do with it all, but we need to take a look at that, and we need to take a look at Social Security too, because what if you do fairly well and you pay into Social Security, you pay all this money that you're never going to get back out of it, because I don't know how they decide how much each person's check is and base it on and everything. But a lot of people are getting way more than they ever paid into it. So where's that coming from? That's wealth redistribution. So I say we got to look at all this stuff and everything, because that's theft from us, the taxpayers. Certain things that are public use that everybody uses, that I'll use. My kid went to school and all this and everything. Your kid goes to school, building schools, roads, sewage, sewer pipes, and you name it. Whatever infrastructure is, bridges, all these types of things, for the common good of the country, and stuff, that's all right. But when they're just taking money out of our pockets and giving it to other people, especially to like illegals who come into the country, here you go, here, have this and everything. That's illegal. They can't do that. They are forcefully stealing from us. So that's why I wanted to go over the whole plan, renewing the urban areas and stuff, because I'm thinking, you know what? It would be better off being a private venture, maybe with some government money, and maybe you can make a little bit of it, towards a grant, but the rest of it would be like a low interest loan here and there, and it wouldn't be all at once. It would be like maybe a yearly thing, or every 2 years or something. They allocate a certain amount to be loaned out for this urban renewal, and to like I say, the African American Investment Corporation, or maybe even some other corporations, and like I say, the stock would be available to everybody, no matter what the race is. But the primary goal would be rebuilding the inner cities and stuff. And so, if it's all private venture, then, I think pretty much they can stipulate who gets first to, low income, black folks to move in and stuff like this first or whatever. But I think if you use federal money or state money, then it has to be available to everybody, no matter what their race is. So those are some of my ideas there. This is part, what'd I say? It's part 104, I think. So wish you all the best out there. Be safe. God bless. If I think of any more types of things to put in that movie, I'll put that out there. And hey, if you want to put stuff in the comments, ideas for the movie and stuff, that'd be cool too. We can see what we can all come up with, and which different actors and stuff. That's an idea. If you want to do something like that, if you want, give a thumbs up. Maybe it'll make politicians take notice, and maybe have them start doing for all of us as Americans, instead of pandering to this group or that group, because that's not constitutional, and it's not right either. It's causing a lot of division in the country. So anyhow, maybe they'll take notice. Maybe some of my ideas aren't as wacky as some people might think. Maybe somebody in power might be able to implement them, look at them, and find some good in them. So like I said, I don't care if I get there and able to do it, or if somebody else does along the way, as long as it helps people in the country. So if you want to subscribe. I'm not looking for a bunch of subscribers and stuff. This ain't about me. I'm not looking for anybody's money. If you feel like giving, give to your favorite charity, American Heart Association, something to do with breast cancer, Mercy USA, Feed the Children, ASPCA, your local kennel, whatever you want to do that, give to the policemen and the firemen funds for their, children, families that are left behind when they're killed in the line of duty. Give to whatever, Doctors Without Borders, whatever you can do that will help humanity and show that we're all in this together, and we need to stop all this division and hatred and all this talk of civil wars or race wars and things like that. Can't we all just go back to being Americans? Whoever wins the election wins the election. Can't we just get to the election without people talking about, if Trump wins again, there's going to be all kinds of hell to pay and all that, and get these tweakers and shit off our streets. Get the biased news media to quit playing politics and to quit calling these people peaceful protesters when they're burning and looting and assaulting people. We need more good people of every race in this country to stand up and say enough's enough. You can't go down the road and throw bricks at people because they wear a Trump hat, or you can't shoot them because they wear a Trump hat. Our freedom to choose and everything, and our political affiliations are one of the protected freedoms that we have. And you people out there who think, because you see somebody wearing a MAGA hat or, something that's pro-American, you can attack them. You need to go away. You need to be put away. And these DAs and all these mayors and stuff who protect you people need to stop, because you're violating, our constitutional rights. You are violating people's constitutional rights by attacking them because of their political affiliation. You can think whatever you want. You can go hold a protest, say whatever you want. But as soon as you start destroying property or assaulting people because of their political affiliation, you've crossed the line. And I think it should be treated as a hate crime. You are definitely violating constitutional rights. And, we hear about that all the time coming the other way. One single, business or individual or anything says something out of line, all of a sudden, you got all the people screaming about constitutional and civil rights and hate crimes and everything like that. We need to turn it around on these people for what they're doing, because they're violating our constitutional rights and our civil liberties. And there's nothing that says, because you're a certain demographic or a quote-unquote minority, you get to violate the Constitution, and racism only goes one way. That no matter what you do, you can't be called out for being a racist and violating people's civil rights. Sorry, you don't get a free pass. We're all in this together. We're all Americans. We need to all be treated by the law equally and get equal protections from the law. And for these mayors and DAs and everything to be using law enforcement for their own personal political gains, and to go after their adversaries is just, it's bullshit, and they need to be held accountable for it. And that's what totalitarianism and socialism and communism all go down that road. They all go down that road. Just go look at all countries in South America where people started disappearing because they didn't go along with the socialist dictator and this and that. Go look in Cuba. Go look all around the world. See what happened to people who didn't join the movement and the party. All right, wish you all the best out there. God bless. We'll see you on the next one. Adios.